Hey everyone, so there was a debate between Ted Cruz and Bernie Sanders a week ago, and it inspired me to watch an older clip of a Cruz-Sanders debate back in February, I believe. During this debate, they were talking about healthcare and the Affordable Care Act, and during the Q&A session, a lady spoke up. She said that she owned a small to medium-sized business that employed just under 50 people. She had 5 locations for her business and wanted to try and expand, but her profit margins were thin. She then explained that if she hires more than 50 people, she will have to provide healthcare insurance under this law, and she would have to raise prices and become less competitive. So she asked this question, and Bernie Sanders says, quote, "Let me give you an answer you won't be happy with. I think for businesses that employ 50 people or more, you will have to give healthcare to your employees," end quote. My first reaction was to wonder whether Bernie Sanders knows what the term thin profit margin means. It means that she's making money, but if costs go up without new revenue, it will hurt badly. Hence, maybe why she wants to expand. A new storefront would increase costs, but it would increase revenue as well. And this lady knows more about her business than I do, or Bernie Sanders does. But what she and I seem to understand that Sanders does not understand is that raising costs without increasing revenue hurts. Pretty simple. Sanders also goes on to say that yes, Obama was wrong about his prediction that premiums will go down under the Affordable Care Act, a sentiment, by the way, echoed by most Democrats. And Sanders defends this by saying, well, healthcare is pretty complicated, and that was based off Obama's assessment at that time, but it turned out to not be true. This was frankly a breath of fresh air in terms of honesty, but herein lies the crux of the problem. Bernie Sanders is right. Healthcare, or rather any multi-billion-dollar industry, is complicated. So the root of the issue here is a basic question. Is it smart to have a few hundred people dictating rules, regulations, prices, fees, taxes, and paperwork for a multi-billion-dollar industry? Is it possible to gather a group of people hyper-intelligent enough to accomplish this? And even if you do gather those people, is it even possible to gather and communicate the necessary information to make a correct decision or come up with the precise number needed to have this multi-billion-dollar industry be remotely efficient? The self-evident answer is no, it's not possible, and it's a degree of human arrogance that is highly dangerous to suggest otherwise, even if it's made up by people with noble intentions, which leads me back to my original point in a way. I used to give Bernie Sanders the benefit of the doubt when it came to his motive. I've always thought of him as economically ignorant, but I thought he was at least noble until I saw his interaction with the lady I mentioned before. He looked this non-wealthy person in the eyes and told her basically to suck it up. You're going to pay because I'll send men with guns to your business and force you to pay. Now, I can hardly regard this man as at least decent, albeit naive, anymore. It was a disgusting display on his part that really showed the true nature of his agenda. And as an important side note, Bernie Sanders is displaying his inability to perceive unintended consequences. He claims he would force her to provide health insurance for her employees. So if she can't afford it and Sanders forces her to do this, what happens to her business? Maybe if she's lucky it will just be downsized, but it may just shut down for good. Now what do her former employees do? Forget health insurance. Now they don't even have a steady paycheck because Sanders forced their former boss to pay for something she couldn't afford, and it destroyed her business that they were getting their livelihood from. What a great favor you've done for them, Sanders. Thanks, and that's all.